Alright, this is a take on a traditional artisan bread recipe. Typically the artisan bread making involves no kneading. It's pretty quick. You add the ingredients and the water to the flour and you let it rest for maybe an hour or two, and you throw it in the oven, and in another 30 minutes you have bread. Now this is a slight variant that takes longer, but you'll end up with much more airier body inside of the bread, and bigger holes, more like a ciabatta bread. In fact, I call this a fluffy artisan ciabatta bread. So we start out with 1 pound of flour. I use bread flour. There's a couple of different brands of this in my area, but it's called bread flour. And I have a small scale that I got from a store nearby that I use, a little $10 kitchen scale, and I've measured out exactly 16 ounces or 1 pound of flour here in kind of a squarish bowl with a flat bottom, which kind of makes some of the future steps a little bit easier. So I'm going to mix the dry ingredients. I put in the flour. I'm going to take some yeast. Now I use this sort of yeast. It's called Active Dry. Comes in a jar. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon, kind of a heaping teaspoon of yeast. And I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Kosher salt is flakier than sort of regular table salt, and that allows it to kind of dissolve and mix a little better with liquid, I think. So 1 teaspoon of yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to take a regular spoon and kind of stir it right up. Get it all weaponized. Doesn't take much. And then I have exactly 1 3/4 of a cup of water. You want to be pretty exact on both the flour and the water. So I'm going to just pour that in all at once. And I'm going to use my Danish bread whisk. Now look at this tool. Completely and totally useless for anything else you'd want to do in the kitchen, but it has the scientifically optimized design for mixing bread dough. We're going to let this sit now. I'm going to cover it so that it retains the moisture. Now I've got a lid that I'm going to lock tight on here, but I've drilled a teeny little itty bitty hole here in the top of this lid so that the gases that are produced when the yeast is eating the flour will leak out through that little hole. Alright, so I'll see you back in about 2 hours. Alright, it's been 2 hours, so let's take the lid off and see what we got. Here you can see it's kind of flattened out. There's some bubbles starting to form. So I think it's about ready for the first step of 3 steps that we're going to do that'll make this nice and light and airy. And I call this the fold over. So what you do, I got a little bowl of water here. I'm going to get my hand kind of wet so it doesn't stick as much to the dough. And then I'm just going to reach in on the edge here and grab one side of this, kind of pull it up and shake it, and drop it over the top. And turn the bowl, do another side, turn the bowl, do another one, turn the bowl one more time. So what we did was we just took the 4 sides and pulled them up, kind of shaked them a little bit, and dropped it down on the top. And what we're going to do is cover it back up, and we're we're going to let this set for another hour. We're going to come back and do that fold over again, and then wait another hour and come back and do that fold over again. So a total of 3 of those fold overs, and then we'll go on to the shaping step. Okay, so I'll see you in an hour. Alrighty, it's been another hour, so we're gonna repeat our second fold over step. Let's take a look at what we got. You can see it kind of spread out again, and it's getting a little smoother, and there's still some more bubbles there, so that's good. I'm gonna get my hand damp again and repeat this fold over process. 1, 2, I'm going to do it 3 times. Whoa, I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done it hard enough to break it. You want to be gentle. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Okay, I'm going to cover it back up, and we're going to wait 1 more hour, do it 1 more time, and I'll see you then. Alright, it's been another hour. Let's take a look. Getting very airy and fluffy now. So we've done 2 fold overs. We're going to do 1 more fold over. 1 more fold over. Well, you can feel all the air inside now. Two. 3. I almost tore it again. There we go. Alright, so let's cover that up and wait 1 more hour. Next time we'll start the shaping step. Alright, so I'll see you in an hour. It's been another hour and we are done folding. Look at that. It's going to be a huge loaf of bread. And we are going to do the shaping step. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tray, just a tray or a cookie sheet or whatever, and I've got some cotton cloth. You could use a towel or whatever. And what I'm going to do is after I shape the loaf, I'm going to wrap it up in this cloth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some flour. Here I've got some regular white all-purpose flour, and I'm going to dust the heck out of this cloth here. Just and now let's dust our working surface here. Now we want to be very gentle with this. Look at that, it's like a lot of air. So I'm gonna flip it over and I'm just gonna let gravity slowly pull the dough out of the bowl. You probably can't see it on camera, but you can start seeing the dough pulling away from the side of the container, and there it goes. You don't need to help it, and it'll just come out by itself. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. Now I'm going to lift one edge of this over the top. I'm trying to decide, do I want a longer loaf or a thicker loaf? think what I'll do is I'll take this side here, and you can, when you do it yourself, you'll feel it. It's like a lot of air, very airy. Okay, so I just very gently took that side and I folded it all the way over to the top. So I kind of folded it in half. Now, I'm going to liberally apply some more flour to the top of this. And I'm going to take a tool. I got a little, I don't know what you call it, kind of a spatula-ish tool, but you could use a regular spatula, I suppose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the edges. I'm just going to smash right in and kind of pull off to the side. Do it there. And I'm kind of making a rough square. And I want to do all four sides. Got to do half and then the other half. And finally this side. There. Now, I don't know, if you had your oven on already, you could probably plop this little piece in there and make kind of a very ugly looking pretzel. I'm going to just toss it, is what I'm going to do. This is the important part here. Alright, so now we want to transfer this as carefully as we can. If you can see that, we're going to just kind of lift it up and plop it in there. Alright. And then, I'm going to get messy here. Then I'm going to kind of gently wrap this up, loosely wrap it up. I'll tell you why, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Kind of bring it up, and I'm going to take a couple of clips, potato chip clips that I have. Alright. So what we're doing, we're doing it fairly loosely, but if I don't do something like this, the bread is so airy at this point. You know, while we let it rest on this next step, it'll just spread out all over the table. So by doing this loosely, we'll keep it from spreading out too much. And then for the sides, I'll just fold those up. Alright. So now we're going to let this rest for an hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. And when 30 minutes is up, I'm going to start preheating the oven. And my oven takes about 20 minutes to preheat. So, yeah, by the time it preheats, it'll be another 20-30 minutes. So an hour from now, we'll be able to put this in the oven. But I'll come back in 30 minutes and show you how to prepare the oven. Alright, we're getting close. Okay guys, it's been 30 minutes and we're back. It's time to start preheating the oven. I'm going to cook this bread in a big Dutch oven that I have. Good size, and with the lid on there, we'll keep the moisture around the bread and kind of help the crust brown and get a little thicker. So we're going to preheat the Dutch oven in the oven. I'm going to set it on bake for 450 degrees. Alright, so that should take about 20 or 30 minutes, and when that's preheated, we'll come back and put the bread in the oven. Okay, we're back. It's been 30 minutes. The oven is all preheated, and it is time to put our bread in the oven. So I'm going to take the cloth off a little bit here. Now, this is a tricky spot. What I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going to pull this off of the tray, like so. And I have a piece of parchment paper here, buy at any grocery store. Now I'm going to put the edge of the paper right next to the edge of the bread, and I'm going to roll the bread over onto the paper, so it'll be initially upside down. And pull the cloth off. Mostly got it so it wouldn't stick. And then I'm going to go one more time with the parchment paper so I can get it right side up. There we go. Not too bad. And now I'm going to transfer this to the oven. So let me zoom up on the oven. Okay. Now be very careful, everything is super hot. I have burned myself before. That's not fun. Okay. Just kind of plop this in. Doesn't have to be too pretty. Saw a big bubble there on the top, so I popped it. Put the lid on. And we will set the timer for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes at 450, and we'll be back. Take it out, see what it looks like. Okay, it's been 3 minutes. I think it is time. Yeah. See if we get this guy out of here. Put it on the cooling rack. Let's see what we got. You see that? Looks good. Still very hot. The hardest part of bread making is right now, where we have to wait probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours before we can cut this open and start eating. So we'll come back in about an hour and a half. Take a look. Alright, can't wait. Alright, it's finally time to check it out. See that? That looks good. You need a very sharp knife to get through here without totally crushing it, because it's so light and fluffy. Look at that. Nice hole structure. What they call the crumb. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm enjoying the bread, that's for sure. This technique takes a lot longer than your traditional artisan bread, but I'll tell you, it sure pays off in terms of the airiness and the texture of the bread. Alright, thanks for watching.